At the beginning of June this year, we was gearing up for the return of Conor McGregor, who was going to main event UFC 303 with Michael Chandler. However, the fight was scrapped and McGregor pulled out, and the UFC put together a short notice main event of the rematch between Alex Pereira defending his title against Jiri Prochazka. The co-main event was originally scheduled to be Jamal Hill taking on Khalil Roundtree and was changed on multiple occasions, and ended up being Diego Lopez taking on Dan Ige in less than 6 hours notice. A crazy change of the card up until the day of the card. Did this crazy shift of events make for an entertaining card and fun event? Let's find out. This is the Fight Franchise and the recap and review of UFC 302. The early prelims started with Vinicius Oliveira taking on Ricky Simone. They had a scrap across the octagon where both guys had moments of success. The fight went all 3 rounds where Oliveira won the decision in a decent fight where he seemed to edge most of the rounds. A flyweight fight next where Carlos Hernandez took on Ray Cerrulla, where they had a fun scrap with a lot of grappling and wrestling with some crazy scrambles. It seemed Cerrulla would do great in the first 2 rounds and the last round went to Hernandez. The decision went to Cerrulla in a good performance. Andrei Arlovski and Martin Buday was up next in a heavyweight snooze fest where not much great stuff happened. They scrapped with a lot of clinching. The fight went to the judges' scorecard where Buday won the decision in what is Arlovski's last fight in the UFC. The final fight of the early prelims, Jillian Robertson was against Michelle Waterson Gomez, where Robertson used grappling to dominate the fight over 3 rounds, where she comfortably earned the decision victory, and after the fight's end, Michelle Waterson retired after a fun career she had in the UFC. The prelims began with Yanis Gamori versus Peyton Tabot, who was a massive favourite going into the fight. He showed why in just under 20 seconds, where he secured a huge shot dropping Gamori and then followed up to secure an excellent finish. A great performance by Tabot, who brought some excitement to the card and an excellent moment to the card and is growing as a prospect. Charles Jourdain took on Jean Silva in a fight where Silva missed weight, weighing in at 147.5 pounds. They scrapped across the first round where Silva landed a huge shot to drop Jourdain and dominated the round with his power and striking. The second round Silva pressured, and after a failed takedown Silva secured the brilliant KO to put out Jourdain and win and secure a brilliant KO. Just a shame about the weight miss. Andre Feely and Cub Swanson was up next, where both guys had a great fight and put on a fun show for the fans, where they had an entertaining scrap across 3 rounds where both men traded on the feet create shots, where they had moments of success going back and forth. The fight was close where Feely won the split decision in a fun and competitive fight. The final fight of the prelims was a middleweight bout where Joe Pyfer was coming off his loss to Jack Manson and was taking on Marc-Andre Barrier. The fight was done in just under a minute and a half, where Pyfer was walking down Barrier, and when Barrier was backed up against the cage, Pyfer teed off on him with some huge shots and put him out cold and sent Barrier face planting to the canvas in a huge KO win. An excellent win to end the prelims, which had some fun KOs. The main card started with an interesting bout between Ian Garry taking on Michael Venom Page in a fight with implications on the future of the welterweight division. The first round Ian Garry dominated, catching a kick and taking down MVP, controlling his back, looking for the choke and failing to secure it. The second round MVP dominated on the feet and landed big shots, while Garry failed to grapple but did attempt a heel hook. The final round MVP did get on top after a failed takedown and landed a few good shots, but Garry finished the round on top, controlling MVP again, looking for the choke. A very close fight which should have been 5 rounds, where Ian Garry won the decision due to his control and grappling. Ian has called for Shavkat Rakhmonov next, which would be a fun fight, and it's great to see a fighter in this division looking to be active and take on huge fights and risks. Next up, a women's bantamweight bout where Mayra Bueno Silva took on Macy Chasson. They scrapped hard in the first round with the fight going back and forth, but it seemed Silva did the better across the first round, where she landed some huge punches and kicks. The second round, Macy Chasson got an early takedown and threw a huge elbow which caused a giant cut on Silva. Silva went for an armbar which she let go, and Macy let Silva stand up. Upon being stood up, the doctor and ref deliberated the cut and called the fight off due to the severity of the cut. Unlucky for Mayra Bueno Silva, but a good win for Chasson, who will climb up the rankings closer to the title from here. A fight which started from Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill was changed so much it ended up with Roman Dolidze taking on Anthony Smith at light heavyweight. It was quite a slow paced fight. Dolidze did the better across all 3 rounds with his pressure and striking, with him even landing some good ground and pound after his pressure stumbled Smith backwards, who tripped up. Dolidze won the decision and is now ranked at middleweight and light heavyweight and has some good options going forward in his career. The co-main event, which was originally Brian Ortega taking on Diego Lopez at 145 pounds, was moved to 155 pounds with Ortega struggling with the weight cut. Hours before the fight, Ortega pulled out due to being ill, which meant on a few hours notice, Dan Ige stepped in to face Lopez in a catchweight bout. The two had a fun scrap where Lopez was all action from the start, looking for a finish with his reckless striking, and he even tried to look for the submission on multiple occasions and failed to cinch it up. The first and second round went to Lopez. The third round, with nothing to lose, Ige put on the pressure and began having success, tiring Lopez and even dominated the end of the fight. On top, landing ground and pound, winning the third round. Who knows those 2 more rounds, maybe Dan Ige could have won the fight. The fight went to Lopez, but credit to both guys who put on a show on short notice for us, especially Ige for taking the fight with a few hours notice, and also Lopez being game to fight whoever. The main event, Jiří Procházka took on Alex Pereira in a short notice main event to replace the injured Conor McGregor, who was supposed to face Michael Chandler. After the first fight where Alex TKO'd Jiří in the second round, could Jiří make adjustments and get revenge? Both guys were tentative, especially Jiří, who was less reckless and wild. Both guys spent most of the first round trading on the feet until Jiří pressed Pereira up against the cage and was trying to do work in the clinch. Pereira escaped the clinch where there was out in the open, and after 2 leg kicks and with a few seconds left in the round, Jiří lunged in, where Pereira landed a huge left hook to drop Jiří, who was confused on the ground as the bell rang. Jiří, dazed and confused, went back to his corner to regain composure and came out for the second round with his hand by his side. Alex threw a huge head kick which sent Jiří crashing to the canvas, and with follow-up shots he secured the TKO win. An excellent win for Alex, who defended his title and left no doubts over who was better between the two after the controversy of the early stoppage in the first fight. Hopefully we see another fight for Alex this year, maybe against Ankalaev or up at heavyweight. As for Jiří, a break for a while will be good. Maybe see him return in December against Jan Blachowicz. That brought the end of an interesting night of fights. No barn burner to blow your socks off and fight of the year stuff, but it was nice to see a card with some KOs after the new glove curse. Credit to the guys on the prelims who made up for the decision heavy early prelims. Peyton Tabet, who got an excellent quick KO, and Gene Silver and Joe Pyfer, who also secured some brilliant finishes. The main card was let down with Ian Gary and MVP being a snooze fest, but credit to the co-main event for putting on a fun scrap, and Dan Ige showing up on short notice, and Alex Pereira giving us another legendary moment to end the card and securing an excellent KO. If we are going to grade this card, it gets a C. A decent card, an entertaining night of fights. Shame we didn't get a war for the ages like Dana promised, but credit to the fighters who saved the card, especially the co-main and main event. Up next, we are back in England for UFC 304.